I do not even know how to start this one without sounding harsh, but if you have been watching Hendrick Motorsports closely this season, you have probably felt it too. Something is off with the number 48 car, and now one of the biggest names in NASCAR is finally saying out loud what a lot of people have been thinking quietly for months. And honestly, it is starting to feel like one of those moments we are going to look back on later and say, yeah, that is when the writing was on the wall for Alex Bowman. Because what Kevin Harvick just said about Bowman's future at Hendrick is not just a hot take, it is a warning shot. And the timing of it could not be worse for the guy in the 48. Alright, so let us talk about it. Alex Bowman just got back in his race car last weekend after missing 4 straight Cup Series races. And the reason he was out is no small thing. He has been dealing with vertigo. For anyone who does not know, vertigo is when the world feels like it is spinning around you. You cannot keep your balance. Sometimes you cannot even stand up without feeling sick. Now imagine trying to drive a stock car at 200 miles per hour while dealing with that. It is not happening. So Bowman had to step out of the number 48 Hendrick Motorsports car. Justin Allgaier filled in for him while he got better, and even Justin admitted the whole thing was a serious challenge. After 4 weeks on the sidelines, Bowman finally got medically cleared and strapped back in at Bristol Motor Speedway. You would think the whole NASCAR world would just be happy he is healthy, right? Well, Kevin Harvick had something else on his mind. Harvick hopped on his YouTube show called Happy Hour and said the part nobody else wanted to say. Bowman is not just fighting to get his health back, he is fighting to save his entire career at Hendrick Motorsports. And before anyone says, well, that is just Harvick being Harvick, let us talk about why his opinion actually carries so much weight here. This is not some random analyst. Kevin Harvick won the Cup Series championship in 2014. He is a future Hall of Famer. He works as a color analyst for Fox Sports now. But here is the part most fans do not realize. Harvick also owns a talent agency, and he represents a bunch of drivers who are racing in the Cup Series right now. So, when it comes to knowing what is really going on behind closed doors, the silly season chatter, the contract talks, the team conversations nobody is supposed to hear, Harvick is about as plugged in as anyone you will find in this entire sport. So let us walk through what he actually said, because he did not just drop one harsh line, he built up to it. He started off by giving Bowman some real credit. He said, "It is great to have Alex Bowman back in the car. That is the ride that he had and earned to get to this point. And that is fair." Bowman did not just walk in and get handed the 48. He worked his way into that seat over the years. Then Harvick pointed out something a lot of people probably missed. Bristol is one of the worst tracks you could possibly come back to after being out for a month. He said, "You couldn't ask for a tougher racetrack to come back to than Bristol with all the G's and all the heat. It was hot this weekend." Typically not that warm in the spring race at Bristol. For folks who do not know, the G's means the force pushing on your body when you whip around the corners at high speed. Bristol is a short track where you are turning constantly. Your body just gets beat up. Add in the unusual heat, and Bowman walked into a nightmare situation for his first race back. But then Harvick stopped being nice. He got real. He said, "It's good to see him back in the car, but now we're back to analyzing the 48's performance, and it wasn't good. Throughout the weekend, they didn't really have any speed and wound up in an accident." That is brutal, but it is honest. The 48 team looked slow all weekend, and Bowman's day ended in a crash. That is not the comeback story anyone wanted. Then Harvick laid out what comes next, and this is where things start to get uncomfortable. He said, "Now they got to concentrate on we've got the driver's health back where it needs to be. Now, what do we got to do to get this car back to where it needs to be? Solidly in the top 10. That'll be the next tall task that they have to figure out." So think about it like this. Step 1 was getting Bowman healthy, done. Step 2 is way harder. It is getting that whole 48 team running fast enough to stay in the top 10 every single week. And that is a mountain. And then came the line that has the whole NASCAR world buzzing. Harvick said it plain and simple. If you're going to keep your job, you're going to have to win. That is it. That is the warning in one sentence. Win races, or lose your ride. Now, you might be asking, is it really that serious? Is Bowman's job actually on the line? Well, let us look at the numbers, because the numbers tell a pretty harsh story. Bowman has 8 career wins in the Cup Series since joining Hendrick back in 2018. He started in the number 88 car, where he replaced the legend Dale Earnhardt Jr. Then in 2021, he moved to the number 48, taking the seat that Jimmy Johnson had sat in for years. Two of the most legendary numbers in all of NASCAR, and Hendrick trusted Bowman with both of them. But here is the problem. Out of those 8 wins, only 2 have come in the last 4+ seasons. 2 wins. That is it. Meanwhile, his teammates Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and William Byron are stacking up wins and battling for championships every year. Bowman has kind of faded into the background. And here is where things get really uncomfortable. Bowman is in a contract year. Everyone keeps trying to downplay it, but it is real. The team has to decide soon whether to give him a new deal or move on. And on top of all that, Bowman has dealt with multiple medical issues over the years. Back problems, concussions, and now this vertigo thing. For an owner trying to win championships, that stuff matters. It is not personal. It is just business. That is why Harvick's warning hits so hard. He is not making this up. He is not being cruel for no reason. He is telling the truth about where things actually stand. And because he owns a driver agency and has lines into every garage in the sport, he knows what kind of conversations are happening about that 48 seat right now. If Bowman does not lock things down this summer, that ride could open up. And if it opens up, there will be a line of elite drivers waiting to take it. So now the big question becomes, what does Bowman actually do? He has to stay healthy. He has to figure out why his car had no speed at Bristol. He has to get back into the top 10 every week. And most important of all, he has to win some races. Not next year, not eventually, this summer. The pressure is officially on. The schedule is brutal, and Bowman is running out of time to prove he still belongs in that seat. Because here is the thing about Hendrick Motorsports. They do not hand out charity rides. They do not keep drivers around just because they are nice guys. They are there to win. And Rick Hendrick is not about to start accepting less now. Bowman knows this. He has been around long enough to understand exactly how this works. And he just heard a future Hall of Famer who literally represents drivers for a living go on public television and basically say his job is hanging by a thread. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think happens next? Does Bowman pull off a summer comeback and silence everyone? Or are we actually watching the final months of his time in the number 48? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let us talk about it.